welcome to the channel. My name is Dani Walker. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I'll be recapping Miss South Africa 2022. If you like episodes like this, please consider subscribing and supporting the channel by clicking that notifications bell so you know when new episodes are released every week. If you're a pageant contestant preparing for your next competition, be sure to check out my free pageant prep course that's made just for you, that's linked in the description. Yes, finally Miss South Africa has been crowned, and this has been a highly anticipated event in the pageant community, especially for Miss Universe South Africa as well as for Miss South Africa Supranational, because if you've been following along, Lalela took home that recent Miss Supranational title. So our new winners could potentially create a back-to-back win for South Africa next year. So I think that Miss South Africa is now going to really be on the radar for so many people if she wasn't already. First, I want to say I'm so happy to see grand staging for this pageant. During COVID, they really took things down a notch so that they were able to still hold somewhat live or limited audience Miss South Africa competitions. But I'm just so happy to see the contestants back on a huge stage. They had a beautiful show opening. They featured this female rap artist, and the contestants always look stunning. What I really like about South Africa is how unique their wardrobe is, and you'll notice this during the opening introductions. The contestants are wearing these like high fashion couture evening gowns from South African designers, so I really love that they're featuring their local talent in the show through fashion. I think it's always a beautiful touch and a special part about this show. Very excited to see former Miss Universe Zozibini Tunzi. She was judging this year with current Miss Universe Harnaz, so that was super special. And I have to say, Zozie was striking, glowing, stunning as ever. And Harnaz, oh my gosh, this gown that she wore, you can only see the top of it in this clip, but I was able to see this on Instagram as well, and oh my goodness, she was so stunning in this gown. I wish they would have done a full body shot of this. Prior to the finals, they already narrowed things down to a top 10, and the top 10 for this pageant go through a really intense competition leading up to finals night. So after the introductions, we get to hear from each of the contestants about her cause and what is special to her. So I'm gonna review those and give you a couple thoughts here. And Arzad really cares about young women and menstruation and ensuring that they are not embarrassed by that. So providing period resources essentially. Ayanda talked about nutrition and holistic health, and this is very on brand for her. This is the messaging that for me made her really stand out in the top 30, and I would highly suggest that you should go back and check out the Miss South Africa Instagram to see exactly what I'm talking about, because from that video she stood out to me and I already saw her advancing as she did for finals night. Itumeleng was glowing, and she cares about access to education. Kyoleboha also cares about education, but in a slightly different way. She's focusing more on arts education. Lebohan talked a little bit more about a generic message of building the potential of communities, and I wanted to hear her get a little bit more specific on how she plans on doing that. Luvai, she is just so stunning, and her message was about creating access to mental health care. Luyanda is an advocate against gender-based violence, very, very important issue around the world. Loved hearing that from her. Please help me out with the name pronunciation of our new queen, because I want to get this right, but I heard it pronounced different ways throughout the show, so I really wasn't sure. Sometimes to me it sounded like Navi, but then other times it sounded like Davi, so I wasn't positive if we pronounced the N or the D in her name. So if you know, can you please comment that below so I can make sure in the future I pronounce her name correctly. Now, she talked about the importance of quality education to reduce inequality and more specifically to increase computer literacy. So right there, love that. Love how she really got into the specifics. Pearl wanted to share this message of, if my voice belongs, so does yours. So she wanted to see the younger generations thrive in uncharted territories. But my question to her would just be, what are these uncharted territories? What are your thoughts behind that? Tamsin, I think, had a wonderful messaging that I personally relate to. She talked about entrepreneurship specifically for young women, and the way that she would encourage this is through programs in high schools. And I think that's such a great way to expose entrepreneurship to young women. I I'm all about it. Such a fan. Also, I have to say that her eyes looked really beautiful with the green dress that she was wearing. Perfect match. Next, they showed some activities during the show, and there was a really cute segment I personally liked featuring Mercedes-Benz, and the contestants looked like they were having so much fun on the racetrack. Loved that part. Now we move on to the swimsuit competition, and since there's only 10 contestants, we get to see them all compete in swimsuit and all compete in evening gowns. So that's what's a good plus side of this show. The cool part of this is they brought a DJ on, they had a singer, and they had dancers, and I just really think that the entertainment for South Africa is always top notch, and how it coordinates and how it blends with the contestants. They also had a really cool opening for swimsuit where they had this slow reveal of all of the contestants, and it's a simple thing, but I thought it looked great. Luyanda, she is so gorgeous, and her over-the-shoulder look did it for me. And the thing about her is when I watched her top 30 video, she was always on the edge for me, and really I think just because of her messaging, but beauty-wise and the way that she carries herself and presents herself, she's been somebody who is really impressive to me. She is a contestant that I would like to see come back, but I would want to see her work on her messaging more prior to the competition. Luyanda looked really beautiful, but I think that she raised her feet a little too high during the end of her walk. And I know that is such a nitpicky thing, but those little things end up affecting the entire look of your performance. That's why it's so important for all the pageant contestants out there to keep practicing your walk. Luvi is so beautiful. She had a super cute swimsuit on, I will say that, but honestly, I expected a little bit more energy from her during this performance. Navi, so cute, came out smiling, finished with strong, fierce facials. She changed it up. The crowd went wild for her. Loved it. Itumeleng was beautiful. She came out very, very happy, but there was something about her posing that looked very youth pageantry to me. And if you've seen a lot of youth pageants like they have in the United States for ages 4 to 18, for example, I feel like you'll know what I mean. Ayanda, I loved her smile at the end of the runway. It's what made this entire performance so special for swimsuit. Pearl is so facially beautiful on stage. I think that the walk can still be improved as well as the posing. So she's another example of a contestant where I was like, there's potential there and she needs more time. She needs to come back. Tamsin was really, really beautiful. Always is. She's so facially stunning, and I still felt though that this swim walk could be improved, especially if she would be considered for the universe title. Lebogang, I loved this energy. This was probably my favorite performance that I've seen from her. If you watch the channel or if you follow this pageant, you will know that she is a returning contestant. So for me, this performance, I was like, oh, top 5. Anarzad was great. She was cute, but I didn't feel Miss Universe fierceness. I didn't feel this like powerful presence on stage from her. Overall though, really, really cute swimsuits, I must say. I like how they have more of a fashion take on their swimsuit segment. It just kept it really interesting. Wow, there is thunder and lightning and it is getting dark very quickly. So if you hear it, that's what that is. Sorry, it's getting so dark. Now we have gown. So Navi came out first and her gown was beautiful on her. Black, simple, hair still pulled up. Really, once you have that tight ponytail, you're not going to be able to adjust it. So her hair was consistent for the show. If she ends up going to Miss Universe, I would probably change up the hairstyle. There's this saying online that people always talk about that the ponytail never works at Miss Universe, and I don't want to say never, but it is kind of interesting when I saw people compile a ton of photos of Miss Universe first runner-ups that were wearing a ponytail and then just didn't win the crown. There were things like that that I've seen online. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen it, comment below. But I don't know. I feel like the power pony doesn't work so well for Universe, for finals crowning. Lebogang looks so beautiful here. Oh my gosh, this gown was perfection on her. It looked incredible. And I don't know why this performance made me emotional. She was so present. I just felt like a proud mom watching her. Did you get that feeling as well? Pearl, oh my gosh, this gown was amazing on her. Please tell me you loved it as well. And her face, I'm telling you, oh my gosh. That's why she was one of the ones that stood out to me in the top 30, and I loved her. I loved her, loved her messaging. She has so much potential. I loved Anarzad's gown. Oh my gosh. This one sleeve with the glove hand going on. It was so beautiful, and when I saw this, I was like, you know what? I really feel like their gowns, like they're always very unique. They're very different from other countries. It's not like the typical just fully rhinestone gowns that we see in a lot of other countries for Miss Universe qualifying national pageants. But this year, I really just feel like they elevated things with these gowns. I don't know. This batch really got me. Ayanda, it's her smile that does it for me. She is so genuine. She is so happy, and I just eat it up. I'll also say that her gown caught on stage. She did a great job adjusting and not letting this affect her performance because she finished so strong with a really fierce pose at the end. Luvi just looked like a Victoria's Secret celebrity to me. I don't know if you got that vibe, but I love her. I love her so much. I think she's so stunning. Itumeleng, personally, I think that this gown was overwhelming on her. And I really wish that with this gown, she would have pulled back the hair, at least because it was just a lot. It was distracting for me. Luyanda, oh my gosh, this performance. There were moments at the end when she was on the runway that just really brought me back to some old footage. I don't want to say old, but let's say like early 2000s, mid 2000s footage of final looks at Miss Universe. There was just something about her and her confidence, and I absolutely loved it, appreciated it, such a fan. Lebuchan, loved this gown on her. This was so beautiful. This is my favorite, I would say, probably piece of wardrobe that I've seen on her from her time competing. I think that her facial expressions were a little bit serious throughout, so I really liked when she smiled and lightened it up a little bit, but then there was this moment at the end where she exhaled, and when you have this big exhale at the very end of your performance, sometimes it just feels like it looks like you were holding your breath the entire time and you were really tense. And I think that's why a lot of contestants have this big moment at the end of evening gown. So that's why it's so important, ladies. Breathe before you go on, breathe during, so you don't look tense on stage. Tamsin gave me fairy tale vibes. Fairy tale vibes with this gown, this performance. Loved it. The posing at the end was perfect for her, perfect for the gown. I'll say that overall my personal favorite performance for gown was from Luyanda. She was just giving confidence to me, and I loved it. Okay, personally, this is the moment that I have been waiting for, the top 5 question and answer. And I tell contestant after contestant, watch Miss South Africa, learn from their onstage questions. You really need to, because they are very unique. They stand out in their own way. They're incredibly articulate, in-depth, thought-provoking. There's so many ways to describe them, but just listen to them. So first we had Luvi, and she was asked, what truth do you want those in powers leading our country to hear? And she said, suicide is the second leading cause of death in teens. Mental health is what we need to focus on more. A mentally healthy society is a loving and caring society, and I need our leaders to care more. She was on brand. She talked about an important issue. She looked stunning. What more can I ask for? She presented it with confidence. Love it. Ayanda was asked, what do you think leads to the reason for period poverty, men or women? And she said, that's a difficult question to answer. And I say that because the people who are blamed are the leaders who have all the power to change the rules and allow women to have menstrual cycle products for free. So whether that be a woman or whether it be a man, if you know that you have it inside of you to change the status quo and you choose not to, you are the reason. She was coming for people. She was really coming for them. Oh my goodness. She was so commanding when she presented this answer. Lebuchan was asked, so the title of Miss South Africa comes with great responsibility and a lot of public scrutiny. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. How do you plan to protect your mental health? And she said, I am someone who defines their true north as any place or space that allows me to play an active role in the development of my community and its young people. I will always stay true to that true north. I will pause when I need to and reroute when I need to. I will also say in the same breath to everyone chasing the same mission, you cannot pour from an empty cup, so make sure you take care of yourself first. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see what I'm talking about? These answers are next level. This is why I had the most difficult time narrowing down from a top 30 to a top 10 favorites, because this batch is special, very special. Listen to these answers. Tamsin was asked, "We have been through the most challenging times in the pandemic. The world as we've known it has ceased to exist. What are the biggest lessons you learned, and how will you take this to move forward?" And she said, "The biggest lesson I learned and took out of the pandemic is the importance of being an adaptable person. Plans don't always work out the way we think or go according to how we envision them, but it's really important to make a new plan and adopt the mindset of being able to bloom where you are planted, and as Miss South Africa, I will do that." Amazing. Wonderful. Solid answer. But I will say, I think just the depth of the other ones is what really pushed the other contestants forward. These were amazing. Then Navi, our queen. "Our Constitution commits us to heal divisions of the past and create a new society that's based on social justice. How will you use your title as Miss South Africa to lead the nation to embrace the Constitution and play their part in advancing social justice?" What a question that was. She was ready. "We cannot say that we are moving forward as a nation while half of the country is left behind. 50% of our country is still living below the poverty line, and it is our responsibility to ensure that we create a sustainable, innovative, and more importantly, inclusive South Africa so that we can unlock opportunities for our youth." Their answers are so good, it's almost like they all got the questions ahead of time. I don't think that they did, but that's how great they are. Now we narrowed it down to a top 3. First to go was Navi, and they were all asked, "As a South African, what's the most important thing to keep the unity of our nation?" She said that history is the greatest teacher, to know what you're doing and where you come from. Being a nation that comes from a past of racial segregation, we know that when we were divided, we were at our weakest. So, as Miss South Africa, I would implore us to stand together and embrace every single culture, race, gender, and sexuality, because in our diversity, we are strong. I don't even know what to say other than watch and learn, everyone. Lebogang. She said, "The first thing I would say to South Africans is that we are the ones we have been waiting for. We live in one of the most resourceful countries in the world. We are full of potential, and we should work together towards actualizing that potential. Remember, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if we want to go farther as a country, then we should go together." Amazing. Amazing use of a powerful quote. Ayanda. "Well, South Africa by definition is the Rainbow Nation. We are a country that celebrates diversity. I want us to acknowledge our similarities, but really focus on differences and making sure that we understand each other. In South Africa, we live by the main saying," and then she said the saying that I do not know how to pronounce, and then she finished with saying, "Let's do it together." So, whoa. The quality of the answers, the delivery of them, go watch it for yourself. You need to see this. You need to witness it. Here were the results. Lebogang was second runner-up, Ayanda was first runner-up, and Navi is the new Miss South Africa. So congratulations to her. But remember, if you don't already know, if you're a huge Miss South Africa fan, you already do know, they crown 3 title holders, and they have the franchise rights for Universe, Supranational, and World. So even though Navi is crowned as the official Miss South Africa, that doesn't necessarily mean that she is going to compete at Miss Universe. In all likelihood, I really believe that she's a good fit and that she will compete at Miss Universe, but that hasn't always occurred in the past. Great example too, this past year, just so happens, Lalela competed for Universe and for Supranational. So she might compete for 1 title, for 2 titles. She might compete for a title at another time. Who even knows? So we will be awaiting the real results to find out which title holder will be going to which pageant, which is also very exciting. And what they try to do too, if you're new, is they're trying to match the title holder and her abilities and her talents and skills with the organization that'll best suit them. And I love that strategy. I love it. And I think that's why they have been very, very successful in recent years at multiple international pageants. It's a great formula. Anyways, thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. If you want to see my other Miss South Africa episodes, you can check out some recent ones here. If you want to continue following Miss Universe coverage, and I hope you do, then please subscribe and hit that notifications bell. But thank you for joining me for this episode. Love you all, and I hope to see you at the next one.